Welcome to this edition of Council Connections. My guest today is on his 4th term as president and 6th term as a council member. So I want to welcome Council President Frederick Smalls to our studio. Thank you so much for coming in today. It is our pleasure to have you.
It's my pleasure to be here.
And I know that you've got some things that you want to discuss with the residents, but first I want to start off with, who is Fred Smalls? All right, we don't have to go existential like that, but you know, what made you want to run?
Well, several years ago, I served my community, Bellamy, just off Cherry Lane, as the president, and I served, as a matter of fact, 6 terms there. One of the things that I really got a lot of interest in was then the late Mayor Kasula used to hold these homeowner association meetings, and I would attend those. It turns out that at least part of that time I was unemployed, so I was able to kind of hang out at some of those meetings fairly frequently. And I got a lot of information that I shared with the members of my community in those, but what it did was it just kind of gave me an interest in city government. From there, Mayor Kasula, through a number of other meetings and associations, asked me to serve on the newly created Public Safety Task Force. Okay. And I served there, and from that task force, among other things, we created the current Public Safety Commission. So things just kind of progressed from there, and eventually former Mayor Bob DiPietro was very successful in twisting my arm and convincing me that I could be of service to the residents of the city in serving as a councilman. So I ran, and I guess, as they say, the rest is history. I've been here. I never had a real desire to be a politician, but I have always had an interest in serving.
You like getting out there and talking with the residents and meeting the people and seeing what you can do to help them.
That I do. That I do.
So 6 terms on the HOA board, Bellamy board, 6 terms here. Seems to be a magic number for you.
Yikes. Maybe.
Now,
maybe.
For the residents who are new to the area or not tuned in, what ward do you serve?
I serve and represent Ward 2 along with my ward mate, Councilwoman Donna Carreri, as well as we're represented by our at-large council member, Mike Les.
Excellent. So since we're talking about the residents, let's now move on to something that is very near and dear to your heart, government to the people.
Yes.
You want to reach out to the residents and speak with them and find out what you can do. So
yes.
Why don't you've got the floor, so
okay.
There you go.
Several years ago, Mayor Moe came up with the concept of government to the people, so it's certainly not my idea. But in supporting that, the council felt that it was very important for us to do as much outreach to our community as possible. So in support of the government to the people effort, we came up with a couple of ways that we could reach out. One was Bagels with Council that we would hold on the first Saturday of every month. And then there was the council drop-in that was held during the hours on Tuesdays when the City Hall was open in the evening hours for the public. That now we're currently working as a council to enhance our outreach using social media and also just making personal contact. So reaching out to our homeowner associations, for example, I get a lot of pleasure out of going to homeowner association meetings, a lot of satisfaction out of them, and sharing with the residents what the things that the council's working on, but more importantly, hearing from them.
Right.
We can sit here in City Hall and we can think that we know what our residents want, but we won't know and can't know without the input from the residents. So a couple of things that the council is currently working on. We are going to soon be producing, and you may be able to shed some light on dates, a council connection where people can tune in to this TV station. And I don't know exactly when the dates and that sort of thing are going to be, but you'll be able to hear directly from council members, and I think the format will be that there'll be more than one of us doing
like
this.
round table.
Exactly,
Excellent.
exactly. And there's the desire to have at least a portion of that as a resident call-in.
Oh,
So
yes.
residents will be able to call in and on the air have questions, have comments, and that sort of thing. One of the beauties, I think, of being a municipal, serving people at a municipal level, I'll put it that way, is that we're very close to the people. So running into residents in a grocery store, just generally out and about as we're moving around the city, is one of the things I really enjoy doing and talking to folks. So using social media, Twitter, Facebook, I haven't learned Instagram yet, but we'll certainly find a use.
It's on the list.
Yes, we'll find a use for that as well. And getting my council colleagues well introduced to these social media outlets. In today's day and age, not only do we want to reach those folks who are some of our more mature residents, but we certainly want to reach out to our younger residents also, who certainly have a voice, certainly have an opinion, and we want to hear it.
Well, they always say that the youth is our future, and if you can't get them when they're young,
That's right. I agree.
So get them while you have,
Yes.
while you can.
Yes.
You know.
Yes. So
Now you talk about social media. Do you all have a Facebook account set up? Do you have a Twitter account that the residents could email you? I mean, Facebook message you or tweet you?
we all have Twitter accounts.
Okay.
Twitter accounts. That have been set up by the city. And I think what I'll do is probably the easiest thing to do is have our Twitter accounts put up on our TV channel, so that
There you go.
as part of the crawler that's there, so when that's moving through, not only will residents be able to get our telephone numbers, but our Twitter accounts and that sort of thing, so they can follow us. And likewise, we can follow them where appropriate.
Anything else going on, government to the people? How could they get in touch with you if they have any ideas? A phone number?
Well,
or-
certainly folks can call City Hall here at 301-725-5300, ask for the clerk's office, and ask for me or any of my council colleagues, and we'll respond. Also on the city's website, our email addresses are available, so folks can email us with any questions or comments. So it's not difficult at all to reach us, and again, we're working hard to make sure that we're even more accessible to our residents. So people who don't tune in to our cable channel can still reach us via social media. They can go to our website, as I mentioned, and get information on how to contact us there as well.
And as Council President Small said, for those that are more mature, that are not as technologically savvy, I challenge you to come up with some ideas to help get them involved and know what's going on in the city. If they don't have Facebook, if they don't have cable, if they don't have internet, there are just some people that just aren't comfortable with that. Think of a way and give President Smalls a call and let him know. Let's see what we can generate here.
I agree. Even print, newsletters, while newsletters have sort of moved away from the hard copy print to more electronic versions, certainly putting out something periodically with updated information for those folks who, again, who are not avid users of social media. We'll certainly work towards doing that as well.
Hang them on doorknobs,
Yes.
like we do with the resident community packages. Excellent. So there's one. So let's see if you can come up with anything else, all right? So you're in Ward 2,
Yes.
along with Councilmember Crary. Is there anything going on around Ward 2 that the residents should be aware of? Any street work, any events? You just had the skateboard park. Now, was that in Ward 2 or was that in Ward 1? Just so that
The
people get
skateboard
a-
park is in Ward 2, and the boundaries have changed, so I'm pretty certain I'm speaking
very close,
correctly.
right.
And that's something that we, as a council, and a couple of council members, past council members particularly, championed. Former Councilman Dick Rice, as well as former Councilwoman Jan Robinson, both were very instrumental in making sure that there was funding available that kept that seed planted regarding a skateboard park. And I'm happy to say that this past Saturday was the grand opening of the skateboard park. And I was very pleased to be there to say a few words on behalf of my colleagues on the council. I think it's something that the young people in the city will find useful. Any of us who have driven down 4th Street on a weekend or an evening have seen young people out there with their skateboards. So now we have a safe location where they can go. They don't have to worry about vehicles passing back and forth through that area and skate using their skateboards. There are certain city requirements. They have to register and that kind of thing. And that information certainly can be found on the city's website. Or I presume calling our Parks and Recs Department at 301-725-5300, and that's for our Park and Recreation Department, and they'll give you the guidance that you need to register to get access to the skateboard park.
Yeah, and I believe that if you are a minor, you need to get the approval of your parents.
Absolutely.
There's a form that needs to be signed as well. And speaking of former council member Jan Robinson and Rice, there was a nice little ceremony. I believe they planted some trees in memory, which,
Yes.
you know, they're probably looking down going, thank you, thank you, thank you, you got it done.
I agree. Yes, there was a plaque and a tree for both former council members, and that was very moving. Their family members were there for both of our late council members, and that was again very moving tribute and acknowledgement of their involvement and passion for the youth of the city.
Yeah, that was a lovely moment.
Yeah.
Anything else? Like, do you know if there's any street work being done?
Actually, there is, and it's something I certainly am happy to share with residents as we move around the city, so you'll kind of know where certain projects are going on. In the Laurelton Forest area, for example, there is a number of street repair efforts that are going on there. There's a state grant that the city has received that has provided us some funding for some additions to our bike paths,
Nice.
which hike and bike paths that are in the Kilbarron Street
Okay.
area. There is also the WSSC project that's in the 1,000 to 11,000 block of Montgomery Street. So that project is underway. I think WSSC has completed or nearly completed their work, and the city is writing their street repair contract so that we can make sure that not only the area that WSSC has disrupted, but the entire street from between those areas are going to be more evenly and smoothly repaved.
And that way they won't have to come back in and tear it up.
Exactly.
I chuckle because there's always a project going on with WSSC because they're constantly working on upgrading the water mains and the piping in the city. So
yes.
Yeah, I mean you can almost assume that in any portion of the city at any given time there's going to be a WSSC project going on.
True. In fact, in my neighborhood in Bellamy, there's been this WSSC project going on for I think now the past 2 months.
Okay.
The piles of gravel and sand and other things are a constant reminder of some of the infrastructure upgrades that WSSC is involved in, not just in the city of Laurel, but throughout the county and the surrounding area.
Mm-hmm. Anything else going on with streets, or not that that's not enough?
I think just keeping a watchful eye as folks are driving around the city, and just being aware that there are construction projects that are taking place in a variety of different locations around the city, and just be mindful not only of the construction projects, but again of our young people who are out in the street, either bicycling or playing ball or any number of things that may distract them from vehicles that are moving around. So
Good reminder,
just
definitely.
keeping an eye out on our young folks as well.
And we've got the mall going on with all that construction as well. So
Yes.
there's always something going on around 4th Cherry and Route 1. So, be, like you said, be mindful.
Yeah.
And keep your eyes open.
And since you brought up the town center, I'll just mention, because we, as part of the government to the people and the fact that we are closest to the people in our form of government, there's hardly an occasion where I'm not somewhere around the city where someone doesn't stop and ask about what's opening, when it's opening, and what's going on at the town center. So there are a number of restaurants that are already open. I'm certain that folks who are viewing are aware of them. We have a number of restaurants that will be opening, or businesses I should say, that will be opening in November.
Nice.
The long-awaited Regal Cinema will be opening sometime around mid-November.
Very good.
And I
Just in time for Thanksgiving.
Just
and they're-
in time
and
for
they're
Thanksgiving,
big,
absolutely.
They're big movie blockbusters that are coming out.
Yes. So people have commented to me, and I'm sure they've commented to others around the city, that they're seeing a number of restaurants and not yet the kind of retail that they're looking for. But I want to assure folks that many of us will be able to do a fair amount of our Christmas shopping in the town center between now and Christmas, because there will be some retail offerings that will be coming online soon.
Like to hear that. Let's keep
Yes.
the money in Laurel.
That's the idea, definitely. And I think we all can take pride in seeing what has come out of the ground in that project. So it's something that we are very pleased about. And it's been interesting to remind people that the city of Laurel does not own the town center project. So we have some minimal, at best, influence on what stores are open there.
Mm-hmm. So keep that in mind. It's the town center is like the phoenix rising up out of the ashes. And
That's right.
It is beautiful. If you haven't been over yet, go drive through. Panera is open. Old Navy is open. Party City, Burlington, and Harris Teeter, I believe, is going to be opening very soon. So there's a
14th
lot
of November.
Yes. See, I got him on tape. There we
That's
go.
it.
That was a lot of information. Is there anything else that you can think of you want the residents to know about?
I'll just talk very, very briefly about some of the legislation that the council has passed recently. I think probably more important, and it may end up being fairly transparent to some residents, but we have spent a lot of time working on some of the election laws. Our Board of Election Supervisors have made a number of recommendations to modifying and updating some of our election laws, particularly things like residency. So many of them that I'm kind of losing track.
The ordinances are like this
Yes,
long.
they are. But the point to that is the mayor and city council, the Board of Election Supervisors, we want to make sure that our elections are opened up so that everyone who wants to run for public office has an opportunity to run. So we want to certainly encourage people who have an interest in serving the city to make sure that there are no obstacles in the way that would prevent them from running.
And speaking of elections, I mean, that's not going to happen. City elections will happen in a year.
Yes.
A year from now, 2015. Yes. Get out and vote.
Yes.
It's your voice.
Yes.
This is your community. Councilmember Smalls here is your neighbor. He lives right next door to you. He's out there doing yard work along with everyone else.
That's for sure.
So get out and vote. If you have a desire, talk with them about running, what it would take, what they do. It would be a fantastic time right now to start thinking about that.
That's right. That's right.
Any other legislation? I mean, that, like I said, those ordinances are this deep. So, but you're trying to clean it up. So.
We're trying to clean it up, and again, make sure that they're as transparent and open and fair as they can possibly be.
I think you've probably filled us in on just about anything that we could want to know.
Perfect.
Especially in Ward 2 and around the city.
Glad
Thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you.
us today.
Thank
I
you.
really appreciate it. It was our pleasure having you on. Stay tuned. The next Council Connection will be coming up in a month, and we don't know who it's going to be, so you've got to stay tuned to find out. Thank you for joining us on this edition of Council Connections. We'll see you next month.